Hi Nigel, I've got lots to get through, but before I do, if you haven't already watched the video I did the other day, I'll put a link in the comments for you, about how I believe that actually intellectually you're not the best and that you have no critical thinking, and actually all of this is just a grudge match because of the Maastricht Treaty. Don't ask, I'm going to get there. Watch that video because there's more to come in a sec. Now then, it's been 8 days since you misrepresented 5 grooming gang survivors in your press conference. 8 days since they asked you for an apology, and you still haven't done that. So luckily, I'm here to remind you every day until you do. But look, I know it's been a very big and probably tense day for you and your partner, but good news because she wasn't charged with anything, was she? However, seemingly your party was tied up in some of the fraud. I mean, that's not to say you're culpable, is it, Nigel? I'm just interested how your party seemed to get tangled up in stuff and you seem to know nothing about it. I mean, it would make me a little bit fearful about you being in charge of the country when you don't really seem to be over the detail of anything. I mean, to be honest, I still find it shocking that Reform haven't had an internal investigation to check that there's no other Russian assets within the party. You see, I'm beginning to think, Nigel, that critical thinking and being over detail is something that unites not just the members of the cult with an L, but actually the senior management of Reform too. Like, take this post where Layla is cross because the government is saying that if people don't meet the visa rules, they have to leave the country. But it was only the other week you announced that they just have to leave the country basically if you didn't like them, if they had indefinite leave to remain, nothing even about the visa. And Zia was posting about that very policy today. Anyway, sticking with Zia and Layla, I guess, shall we have a quick chat about Reform Councillor Alexander Jones? Clearly it met your vetting process because he shared similar values to you. You both had the same heroes. Now, I have to say I'm very surprised that he hasn't lost the whip given what he posted after the Huntington tragedy. Because according to him, even though they were both born in the UK, they're not British. I mean, Alexander, I suspect, is going to be quite disappointed when he finds out how few British people there are according to his criteria. People don't seem very happy with your councillors in Lancashire either. Like, I get everybody's got to save money, but really? To be fair, Nigel, maybe people just haven't understood, because surely you're not selling off care homes and day centres to the private sector, are you, to save money? Now, before I get to the main part, can I just say you love a poll, so have you seen this poll? So it turns out that even though you're doing very well overall in the polls, people still think that you're the handicap to Reform. Like, it's a forever dilemma, isn't it? Actually, Reform would be nothing without you, but also you are the liability to Reform. So much so that over 50% of voters of other parties would tactically vote if it meant it kept you out of Downing Street. It's a funny old world, isn't it? You can be so popular and yet so unpopular. Anyway, the bit I know that you've been waiting for. To be honest, I got a bit excited about this because it kind of does confirm my hypothesis from that video. I do hope you've watched it, by the way. Deputy Dick was given a speech to Bloomberg. Here's Freddie's brother telling us all about it very excitedly. So let's look at it a little bit, shall we? Deputy Dick is rightly pointing out that there is a bit of a problem in the financial sector. He points out that we used to have 100 IPOs a year in London. And for those that don't know, an IPO is basically a company getting listed on the London Stock Exchange. But so far this year, there's only been 13. Now that's a terrible decline, isn't it? And Deputy Dick says what we actually need is less regulation. Now, to be fair, he is correct that we do have a lot less companies getting floated on the London Stock Exchange. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Like, from 2020 onwards, that decline is quite marked. What could have happened in 2020 that made everything go a little bit tits up? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, it seems the experts all think it's nothing to do with regulation, it's all to do with Brexit. In fact, Brexit was a disaster for the stock exchange, and Amsterdam picked up what London dropped. I mean, there were a couple of other factors as well, to be fair. There was a global slowdown after the pandemic. The US markets offered better valuations. But the biggest factor was Brexit. But isn't the fact of the matter, Nigel, this is all down to your perverse reaction to the Maastricht Treaty? But this is where my theory comes in, doesn't it, Nigel? Because you left the stock exchange when the Maastricht Treaty was brought in, because suddenly there was regulation. And if my theory is true, that you left Dulwich College, you didn't go to university, which is really unusual, so Dad got you into the trading game, and I'm just hypothesising, I'm not saying it's real, although Dad did probably get you into the trading deal and you definitely didn't go to university. The thought of a lot of regulation, i.e. paperwork, having to really get over the detail, that was probably quite terrifying for somebody that notoriously is never over the detail. So you gave up trading, you formed UKIP, and the rest, as we know, is history. But history that has severely damaged the UK. But you surround yourself with people that can't do any critical thinking. So when you're saying to them, oh, regulation, that's what killed the city, it didn't. And in fact, the city boomed. After you left and the Maastricht Treaty started, it boomed. You just didn't like the fact that you weren't the wheeler dealer anymore. You didn't like the fact that you had to get over the detail. But to be honest, Nigel, I think it's your lack of detail, which means that anybody with critical thinking would know you would be a bloody disaster as the Prime Minister. It's a bit sad, really, Nigel, isn't it? Because you're just a bit of a city trader spiv that couldn't cope, probably, with the new regulations coming in. And ever since, you've been sulking and taking it out on Britain. But being fully on top of the detail is really important. And it would keep us safe as a country. Anyway, don't forget that apology, as you were.